I've watched a lot of people prepare for the NVIDIA Certified Generative AI Associate, and I can usually tell within 10 minutes whether they're going to pass, not because of how much they know, but because of how they study. The exam is engineered to trip up candidates who memorize the domain outline without ever building anything, which unfortunately describes most candidates. This video is the guide I wish those people had watched first. I'm going to show you 3 trap patterns the exam actually uses, the specific reasons candidates fail by 2 or 3 points, what the official domain weights quietly hide about how topics distribute across questions, and the exact prep stack I'd use if I were sitting this exam next month. The domain list gets about 90 seconds in the middle. Everything else is the stuff that actually changes your pass rate. Let's start with the part nobody else will tell you: who this cert is wrong for. This associate cert is the right answer for roughly 80% of the people watching this video, but it's the wrong answer for the other 20, and you should figure out which group you're in before you spend 3 weeks on it. Skip this cert if you're already shipping LLM applications in production. You want the professional tier exams instead, either the Generative AI Professional or the Agentic AI Professional, because the associate exam won't teach you anything you don't already know, and it won't impress a hiring manager who can already see your GitHub. Skip it if your work is purely infrastructure, spinning up GPU clusters, tuning InfiniBand, running DCGM monitoring, because the AI Operations Associate maps to that world and this exam doesn't. Skip it if you work exclusively with images, audio, or video, because the Multimodal Generative AI Associate covers that territory, and this one is focused on text LLMs. And skip it if you're looking for a credential that gets you hired with nothing else attached to it, because no certification does that on its own. Not this one, and not any of the other 10 NVIDIA certs. This exam is a signal that complements a portfolio, not a substitute for one. If none of those situations describe you, you're in the right place, and 3 weeks of focused study is a genuinely good trade. NVIDIA publishes the domain weights: 30, 24, 22, 14, 10. And every guide online treats those numbers as if they describe independent buckets. They don't. The exam's actual topology overlaps heavily, and understanding how topics cut across domains is worth more than understanding any single domain in isolation. LoRA is the clearest example. It's nominally a Domain 3 topic because fine-tuning lives there, but LoRA questions also show up in Domain 1 because training dynamics are core ML, and in Domain 2 because deploying adapters alongside a base model is a software architecture question. A single LoRA concept can touch 4 questions on your exam. Retrieval augmented generation is another one. On paper, it's a Domain 2 topic, but retrieval grounding as a hallucination mitigation strategy lives in Domain 5, and evaluating retrieval quality lives in Domains 3 and 4 together. Evaluation metrics aren't confined to Domain 3 either. Dataset quality analysis pulls them straight into Domain 4. And NeMo guardrails is nearly the entirety of Domain 5 on its own, so if you skip that one library, you forfeit the full 10%. The practical implication is simple: study concepts, not domains, because the exam is built the same way. The domains themselves, briefly, because you do still need to know them. Domain 1 at 30% is core machine learning and deep learning, the transformer architecture, training fundamentals, and generation strategies like greedy, beam search, and top P sampling. Domain 2 at 24% is software development, RAG pipelines, NIM, NeMo, Triton, and the practical work of assembling a production LLM system from parts. Domain 3 at 22% is experimentation, prompt engineering, LoRA and QLoRA fine-tuning, and evaluation metrics like Perplexity, Blue, Rouge, and BERT score. Domain 4 at 14% is data analysis, curation, filtering, exploratory analysis, and light visualization interpretation. Domain 5 at 10% is trustworthy AI, bias, hallucinations, NeMo guardrails, and prompt injection defenses. That's the map. Now let's look at how the exam actually tests it. Trap pattern 1, the LoRA capacity trap. Here's the kind of question you'll see on exam day. You're fine-tuning a 7 billion parameter model with LoRA on a small domain-specific dataset of roughly 5,000 examples. Training loss drops quickly, but validation loss plateaus high and stops improving. Which parameter change is most likely to help? Option A, increase the LoRA rank. Option B, decrease the LoRA rank. Option C, increase the learning rate. Option D, collect more training data. Most people pick A because their instinct says low accuracy means I need more capacity, and that's exactly why A is the popular wrong answer. What you're actually looking at is textbook overfitting, training loss falling while validation loss plateaus. The fix on a small dataset is to reduce capacity, not add more. The right answer is B, decrease the LoRA rank. Higher rank gives the adapter more parameters to memorize your training set with, which is exactly what you don't want when data is scarce. D would help if you could get the data, but the question asks about a parameter change, not a dataset change. The pattern the exam uses here and uses constantly is a symptom that looks like undercapacity, but is actually overcapacity, where the correct answer moves in the opposite direction from your first instinct. Trap pattern 2, the prompting symmetry trap. The exam gives you a failure mode and 4 prompting techniques, and 3 of the 4 will sound plausible, because all 4 are real techniques that solve real problems. The skill is matching the technique to the specific failure mode in front of you, not to the one that sounds most sophisticated. Here's the example. Your deployed assistant occasionally produces responses that contradict themselves within a single answer. Which technique most directly reduces this behavior? A. Chain of thought prompting. B. Few-shot examples. C. Self-consistency sampling. D. Increasing the temperature. Chain of thought is the popular guess, because it's the most famous technique in the list, and contradictions feel vaguely like a reasoning problem. But chain of thought helps with reasoning chains that skip steps. It doesn't catch contradictions inside a single generation, because the model is still committing to one path. The right answer is C, self-consistency, which runs the model multiple times and takes a majority vote on the final answer. Internal contradictions show up as minority answers and get filtered out before the user ever sees them. The exam loves this pattern because it rewards understanding the mechanism of each technique, not just the name. Read every prompting question by asking what this specific technique actually does, not what it's called. Trap pattern 3, the quality versus determinism trap. This one shows up in generation strategy questions, and it catches people who assume that higher quality decoding is always the better answer. Here's the scenario. You're building a customer-facing assistant that looks up warranty policies and returns exact answers. The product team wants outputs to be deterministic and factually stable across repeated queries. Which decoding strategy fits best? A. Greedy decoding. B. Beam search with width 5. C. Top P sampling with P equal to 0.9. D. Temperature equal to 0.7. Most people pick B because beam search sounds more sophisticated than greedy, and the word quality is associated with it. But beam search still explores multiple candidate paths, and it can produce different outputs across runs depending on tie breaking. The right answer is A, greedy decoding. It picks the highest probability token at every step, which is the only strategy that guarantees identical outputs for identical inputs. The exam isn't asking which strategy produces the most fluent text. It's asking which one satisfies the constraint. Read the constraint first, then pick the strategy that meets it, even when the answer feels boring. Now the autopsies. These are the 5 reasons I've watched candidates fail this exam by 2 or 3 points in order of how often I see them. 1. They memorized the domain outline, but never built a RAG pipeline. So when domain 2 asks them to assemble components under time pressure, the vocabulary feels foreign and they burn clock on every question in that section. 2. They studied LoRA in isolation and never internalized that QLoRA quantizes the base model, not the adapters. A detail that hides inside 2 or 3 questions, and they miss all of them. 3. They dismissed trustworthy AI as fluff, scored around 40% on that domain alone, and that 10-point block by itself dragged them below the pass line even when the other 4 domains were solid. 4. They memorized metric names but couldn't map a metric to a use case under pressure. They know blue exists, but they can't tell you in 3 seconds whether blue or BERT score fits a paraphrasing evaluation, and the exam gives them 3 seconds. 5. They studied casually for 6 weeks instead of intensively for 3, and their knowledge went stale between sessions. Stale knowledge doesn't survive scenario questions. Tight, recent knowledge does. Here's the prep stack I'd actually use if I were sitting this exam next month, in priority order. Step 1, the official NVIDIA exam guide. It's free, it's terse, and it's the authoritative topic list. Don't skip it just because it's thin. Step 2, and this is the single biggest lever on your pass rate, the Preporato lab catalog. There are roughly 20 hands-on labs mapping directly onto exam topics: transformer architecture, LoRA and QLoRA fine-tuning, RAG pipelines, evaluation metrics, trustworthy AI guardrails, data preparation, validation, quantization, and deployment. Every lab runs straight from your browser, no local setup, no GPU required. This is the thing that turns passive reading into the kind of hands-on knowledge the exam actually rewards. Step 3. 2 foundational papers you should read end to end. Attention is all you need for the transformer architecture and the original LoRA paper for fine-tuning fundamentals. Both are short and readable in an evening. Step 4. For deeper transformer intuition, the Generative AI with Large Language Models course from deeplearning.ai and AWS on Coursera is free to audit and does an unusually good job with the architecture basics. Step 5. A capstone project. Build one complete RAG pipeline end to end, even a tiny one, because the exam consistently rewards candidates who have actually touched the tools. And step 6. The gate before you book the exam, the Preporato full-length practice test. It mirrors the real exam's question style, its timing, and its 5-domain distribution, and every missed question is explained, including why each distractor is wrong. The labs plus the practice test together are the closest thing to sitting the real exam before you sit the real exam. 3 weeks, concretely, using the stack I just described. Week 1 is Core ML and Deep Learning. Read the transformer paper, watch the relevant architecture material, and build a minimal RAG pipeline that actually runs. Run the Preporato transformer from scratch and CUDA fundamentals labs to make the abstractions physical. At the end of week 1, take a short diagnostic. Not a full practice exam yet, just enough to see which of the first 2 domains is weakest. Week 2 is software development and experimentation. Deploy a small model with NIM, fine-tune something with LoRA or QLoRA and look at the loss curves, evaluate it with multiple metrics side by side, and run the Preporato fine-tuning, quantization, and evaluation labs. This is the week hands-on work pays the largest dividend. Every hour you spend in a terminal is worth 2 hours of reading. Week 3 is cleanup and practice. Run the Preporato Trustworthy AI and Data Preparation Labs because those are the ones most people skip and the ones with the highest marginal return per hour. Take your first full-length Preporato practice exam early in the week, review every missed question, patch those specific gaps, and then take a second full-length practice exam at the end of the week. If you're scoring mid-70s or higher on the second one, book the real exam. If you're not, reschedule. Failing by 3 points because you booked too early is the most expensive version of impatience this industry produces. That's the whole playbook. 3 trap patterns the exam actually uses. 5 reasons candidates fail by a hair. The topic topology NVIDIA's outline quietly hides. And a 3-week plan built around the Preporato labs and practice test. Because those are the tools I built specifically for this exam, and together they cover every domain it tests. The links are in the description. Subscribe if you want the same treatment for the professional tier exams, because the Generative AI Professional and the Agentic AI Professional are up next. And good luck on exam day. If you studied like this, you won't need the luck.